So next what we would want to do is to introduce our leaders in action. So first I would start with State Senator Jamie Raskin. Jamie, are you with us here? Here he is. Terrific. So State Senator Raskin and I got to know each other a couple years ago when he first ran for Maryland State Senate, and I'm going to turn it over to him. And we have his award I can give him.
Thank you very much to IBEW for hosting us up here in their rooftop penthouse attic suite. This is really something. I'm very honored to be here. When I first got elected, a kind of old school Eastern Shore senator took me out for lunch and he said, you know, when you run for office, it's a cesspool, but when you get in, it's a jacuzzi. And the reason that I love the 21st Century Democrats is because they will never, ever let me get into the jacuzzi. For me, the jacuzzi was the campaign. When I got to be with incredible progressive activists, many of whom came from other parts of the country to help me, the amazing organizers and thinkers at 21st Century Democrats, and people standing up for the progressive values that we believe in. I will never forget, my true home is always with the people in my district and progressives around the country who are fighting for social change. And I want to just tell you a quick story about 21st Century Dems because, you know, when you're running for office, there are a million groups out there. And they start sending you their forms and so on, and then you've got to fill it out, and then you go through a whole rigmarole and a process and everything. Well, I got a phone call from 21st Century Democrats, and they said, we'd like to come and see you. They had heard about my campaign. And I was amazed because I got a visit in my office from them. And I put on my best sort of candidate persona when I was talking to them, but then pretty soon realized I didn't have to hide what I actually really believed in. And they were responding most to everything that I had to conceal from all the other groups. The fact that, you know, I want to change the Electoral College to give us a direct popular election for President of the United States. And that I wanted to get junk food out of public schools and get locally grown farm food from Maryland into the public schools. And I wanted to give 17-year-olds the right to vote in primary elections if they would be 18 in time for the general election, which is another thing that we got in this last election for 57,000 17-year-olds. And I want the right for all of my constituents to marry, all of them. Something as simple as that. And I didn't have to hide that from 21st Century Democrats. And so I got endorsed by them several days later. Now, most of the groups, they endorse you, and then that's it. It's over. And then you're wondering yourself, well, why did I go through that whole process, you know? Well, I got endorsed by 21st Century Democrats. That was the beginning. They found me a fantastic field organizer, a field director, who came out and transformed my campaign. And they were always on the phone to me, and they were caucusing with me, giving me ideas, and putting me in touch with people from other parts of the country, ideas for the campaign. So, and they came to some of my events. I mean, I'm lucky because Maryland is right next to D.C., but they came and they were very much part of it. I remember Jim Hightower came and did a fundraising event for me, and a bunch of the 21st Century Dems people came and were square dancing all night and everything. It was very special for me, this organization and what they did for me. And, you know, we're all Democrats here. This is the bluest of the blue, right? We're all Democrats. But we should invoke our last great Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, who talked about government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But, you know, when we started out, it wasn't like that. We were a slave republic of Christian white male property owners over the age of 21. And it's only been through successive waves of political and social and constitutional struggle that we have opened the country up. And that's the movement that 21st Century Democrats is heir to in the new century. That's what we're creating. So when I put in a bill to create an interstate compact among all the states to say we will cast our electoral college votes for the person who wins a majority in the national popular vote, and Maryland passed it and became the first state to do it, and it's passed now in New Jersey and Illinois and Vermont just passed it. It's passed 19 state houses. This is very much in the mainstream of the progressive dynamic of our history, opening up American democracy, making it responsive, majority rule, rule for the people of the country. I want to just say one other thing, which is that in this election, it's going to be very important for us to reach out to people of faith. And at the same time, and this is the delicate task I think that Senator Obama is facing, we need to stand up for the separation of church and state. And I got invited to go on that TV show, O'Reilly Factor, because there was a case called, I'm forgetting the name of the case, but it was about the Pledge of Allegiance. And the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, a panel of mostly Republican judges, found that it was unconstitutional to have one nation under God. And they said, and this is a judge who was nominated by Richard Nixon, said, if you can make kids pledge allegiance under one nation under God, then it could be one nation under Jesus Christ or one nation under Vishnu. And this is a country that stands for everybody, regardless of whether you call God God or Jehovah or Yahweh or Allah, or you believe in no God or many gods. So stupidly, I accepted the invitation to go on the show. Okay, and O'Reilly says to me, well, why are you liberals so opposed to one nation under God? What do you want instead? And I said, well, we could go back to the way that Francis Bellamy originally wrote it in 1892. He was a Baptist minister, and he just had one nation indivisible with liberty and justice for all. We didn't need to add under God in the McCarthy period in the 1950s. And he said, no. If it's not one nation under God, then what is it? And I said, I don't know. How about one nation under Canada? That'll be geographically correct, which didn't please him. And then I said, no, you know what? How about one nation under the Constitution? Because we're not one religion. We're not one God. We're not one political party. We're not one race or ethnicity. But we are one people committed to a way of life under our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, if we remain committed and passionate about it. So I stand with the 21st century Democrats because they stand up for constitutional patriotism and what it really means to be a patriot, to stand for our Constitution and for the beloved institutions that the people have built up over so many centuries. So let me just gesture to my wife who's here, Sarah Raskin, the banking commissioner in Maryland. And I also brought a present for you guys. I was expecting one, so I brought you a framed poster from my campaign for your office, because the event that it refers to could not have happened without the help of 21st century Democrats, and maybe somebody will bring it up. It's over there.
Great. We'd love to have it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. He wants to get a picture of
okay.
Here.
I think it's right there. Maybe fell over.
Can we just go over here so I can get a quick picture?